Y News. The last batch of repatriated overseas workers from Kuwait has arrived home. The National Telecommunications Commission sets to issue stricter policy against load theft. Grab Philippines metes out penalties against 500 Grab drivers due to ride cancellations. Y News begins now.
From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center in Quezon City, this is Y News.
Good evening. The last batch of overseas Filipino workers who availed of the amnesty program by the Kuwaiti government has already arrived in the Philippines. With this, the Kuwaiti government will soon commence its crackdown against undocumented foreign workers in the country. Asher Cadapan Jr. will tell us why.
216 overseas Filipino workers from Kuwait arrived via Qatar Airways flight QR934 in Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 1 this morning. They are the last batch of OFWs who availed of the extended amnesty program of the Kuwaiti government. Some of them have expired contracts or canceled working visas that they took advantage of the amnesty program to be able to go back home.
Parilis ako, nakancel yung aking working permit, kaya di naayos yung aking visa. Kaya nagdesisyon akong umuwi, pumalip yung ban, saka bumalik ulit kung may pagkakataon.
Some of them plan to take training programs to get a better job abroad.
So, gusto kong sumailalim ng training ng OWA kasi kahit saan ka pumuntang sa ibang bansa, kung may certificate ka doon, mas mabilis kayo makapasok ng trabaho at mas mataas din yung tingin ng tao sa'yo.
Some OFWs brought home with them their babies. Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano welcomed the workers in NAIA. Each of them was provided financial and livelihood assistance. Cayetano says, although the amnesty program in Kuwait has already ended, the government will continue to help the OFWs left in the Gulf state.
Kung dati may nag-overstaying, so may penalties yon. So with the amnesty, clear lahat yon, makakauwi na. Ngayon, we have to deal with the penalties.
More than 10,000 OFWs are estimated to be undocumented, but only about 5,000 availed of the amnesty offered by Kuwait. Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The Kuwaiti government questions the ambassador of the Philippines over the embassy's rescue activity on several distressed Filipino workers in the said country. On the other hand, President Rodrigo Duterte's visit to Kuwait is yet to be finalized. Joanano will tell us why.
Department of Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano reveals that the Kuwaiti government questioned the Philippine Embassy in Kuwait in rescuing some distressed workers in the country. Cayetano says Philippine Ambassador to Kuwait Renato Pedro Villa has been called by the Kuwaiti government 3 times pertaining to the embassy's action, which is seemingly a violation of Kuwait's laws and system. Yet Cayetano reasons out the said OFWs need to be rescued because their safety was at risk. Cayetano notes the embassy has coordinated with the local authorities in Kuwait before executing the rescue operation.
Kasi these are cases na may grave danger at pwedeng life or death ang pinag-uusapan sa OFWs. Pag inintay mo yung normal process, may katagalan.
Cayetano is confident that the misunderstandings caused by the incident will be resolved.
We will do our best to clarify all of this and to assure our friendship with the Kuwait government and that our people there are safe.
Meanwhile, Malacañang hopes that the incident will not affect the accord being pursued by the 2 countries for the welfare of the overseas Filipino workers. At present, President Rodrigo Duterte has not yet finalized his decision whether to carry out his plan to visit Kuwait or not.
But the last statement was he wants to go to tell them why they should be more humane to Filipino workers. And of course, he will go when there's already an agreed agreement on the minimum terms and conditions for employment of Filipino overseas workers.
Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The National Telecommunications Commission will soon release new measures against load theft. Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
The Senate resumes its hearing on complaints of prepaid mobile subscriber regarding the unexplained deductions from their loads tagged as nakaw load or load theft. According to the Department of Trade and Industry, they will have meeting with private sectors to tackle the issue this week. With the upcoming meeting, the Department of Information and Communications Technology wants to investigate the reported data harvesting done against mobile subscribers, which is a violation of existing laws.
We have included several issues on privacy also.
Meanwhile, the National Telecommunications Commission will release new memorandum circular to prevent load theft. The MC contains stricter measures on how prepaid subscribers can be protected against opportunist value-added service or VAS.
To have at least two-step opting in confirmation. The subscriber must receive the remaining balance every day.
In the last hearing, it was discovered that load thefts happen when a prepaid subscriber unknowingly subscribes or joins a promo or VAS. To date, a major telecommunications company has already terminated several VAS providers. For Senator Bamakino, this is a good step of the NTC to prevent complaints on this matter.
Palagi ko mahalaga po yun na alam ng bawat subscriber kung magkano yung natitirang pera at kung merong mali silang nakuha o meron silang nakita na pagbabawas na hindi tama, pwede po sila mag-complain agad-agad, no?
Two major telcos have assured their cooperation to government efforts to protect consumers. NTC will release its new policy by June or July this year. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Grab Philippines has sanctioned around 500 of its drivers. Joan Nano tells us why.
Various complaints against Grab services are now spreading in various social media platforms. Most of these were complaints on unreasonable fares, difficulty in ride bookings, and abusive drivers. Grab Philippines country head Brian Cruz says around 500 of their drivers have been suspended just last week following complaints on ride booking cancellations. While some are banned and will not be allowed to drive anymore, the company insists that they will not tolerate any behavior that compromises their service to the riding public. Grab also explained that each complaint that they receive undergoes thorough investigation before the management act on it.
We're going to start establishing stricter measures for drivers. Hindi naman po immediate rin makita results na yun, so I'm asking the public for a little patience.
Grab also argues that they are losing much and that some drivers are not taking trips after the LTFRB suspended the implementation of the 2 peso per minute travel time charge. Based on their data, they receive 600,000 ride booking transactions daily. This number is not enough to meet the 65,000 supply cap set by the LTFRB. This is why difficulty in booking a ride is inevitable. Meanwhile, PBA Party List Representative Jericho Nograles is planning to file a case against Grab PH in line with the issue in imposing 2 peso per minute travel time charge.
Ang threat ko sa Grab is the moment na mangungolekta sila sa mga driver para bayaran yung refund, akong unang sasampa ng kaso sa kanila. Syndicated estafa and large-scale estafa.
On the other hand, Grab says they are ready to face any complaint and insists that they are not illegally charging their passengers. Currently, the LTFRB is still hearing and studying the said issue. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
GSIS has issued Sofitel a notice to vacate the lot it is renting the agency. Monokson will tell us why.
Sofitel must pay GSIS 101 million pesos. This is the unpaid rent of Sofitel that has accumulated for 25 years. GSIS said Sofitel is paying them 9 million pesos a month for the lot where the hotel is situated. But the 700-hectare of lot where the Japanese restaurant, tennis court and parking lot are located has not been paid for 25 years. Sofitel is also not replying to letters sent to them by GSIS. GSIS has issued a notice to vacate to Sofitel and they must leave the said premises by May 13. The government agency, however, says it is willing to drop the issue if Sofitel will pay the said unsettled rent. GSIS is determined to run after Sofitel to increase their fund, especially now that GSIS only has 39 years of fund life.
Itong mga bagay-bagay na to na hindi kami binabayaran ng mga utang nila, talaga nakaka-edita. Ito nakakatulong sa aming sitwasyon to. Lumalala problema namin.
In a statement issued by Sofitel, they said they always comply with their obligations and assure that this issue will not affect their operations. Meanwhile, GSIS will also run after 59 big companies who have been delinquent in paying their rents.
I will tell you, I will assure you, na since identify ko na yan, unti-unti na yan, ma'am. I have started the engine already and this will steamroll. Right now, I do not have the figures but lugi kami.
Aside from the big companies, there are also 12,000 small establishments that have unpaid obligations with GSIS. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
President Rodrigo Duterte appoints Jose Arturo Garcia as the new General Manager of the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA. He was a former OIC and Assistant General Manager of the MMDA before being designated to his new position. Meanwhile, President Duterte also appoints as a new Commissioner of Securities and Exchange Commission, J.V. Francisco, with a term of until May 20, 2021. He replaces former SEC Commissioner Blas Viterbo, who resigned because of health reasons. President Rodrigo Duterte will go to Singapore to attend the 32nd ASEAN Summit from April 27 to 28 through an 8-seater private plane. The president's delegation is set to depart from Davao City on Thursday. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the delegation will be leaner and the president also wants to have a cheaper trip.
It's a 2-hour flight from Davao to Singapore, so it's not a long flight. But it's an 8-seater plane. I think other than SAPCO, all the other people in the plane will be staff complement of the president, including a nurse, things like that. So it's a very small team that will fly with him, and it's a lot cheaper compared to chartering an entire Philippine Airlines plane.
The song entry of amateur composers from Iloilo earns a spot in the A Song of Praise or ASO Pier 7 Grand Finals. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
Elmer John Bolaño and Rex Torremoros' travel from Iloilo to Manila was worth it. The amateur composer's entry, Salamat Panginoon, won last night's A Song of Praise April monthly elimination.
Salamat, salamat. This is a very complete song in the sense na yung verses, yung chorus, hindi gaanong kahahaba, tama lang ang kanyang division.
Para kung hinihili, kinakalma, nare-relax, yung that comforting feeling na alam mo, na assured ka na si Lord nakikinig sa'yo. And binibigay ng kanta na to yung ganong feeling.
Ang verse, melodically, gustong-gusto ko, yung construction at direction ng melody. Ganda eh. So, umpisa pa lang, naramdaman mo na.
This is the first time Elmer and Rex joined the songwriting competition. The two friends are grateful to make it this far.
Manalo man matalo, importante, sinasamba natin yung Panginoon. Kasi it's not about the competition. It's just praising God.
Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Let's take a look at the traffic situation now along some major roads in Metro Manila. On 5th Avenue in C3 Caloocan City, vehicles are fast-moving on the lane going to a Bonifacio. The traffic is also light on the lane going to a Mabini. On Marcos Highway, Santolan, the traffic is bumper-to-bumper on the lane going to Pasig City. While the flow of vehicles is also heavy on the lane going to Masinag.
MRT will give free rides for laborers in both the public and private sectors on May 1 Labor Day.
The Department of Labor and Employment says the free rides will be given from 5 to 9 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon until 7 in the evening. Those who wish to avail of the free rides just have to present their company ID and they will be given a magnetic card to use upon taking the train ride. The Department of Education will create a child protection committee that will protect the welfare of young athletes who participate in the Palarong Pambansa. This after reports of harassment of a teacher on a student player during the Palarong Pambansa held in Ilocos Sur. Undersecretary Tonicito Umali clarifies the said teacher was not part of any delegation or coaching staff of the recently concluded Palarong Pambansa. Newly installed Philippine National Police Chief Police Director General Oscar Albayalde is ready to face social media bashers. This is relative to the negative comments on the Facebook page Buhay Lespo, which posted about Albayalde's surprise inspections when he was NCRPO Director. Albayalde, during the surprise inspections, had reprimanded mostly police officers whom he caught sleeping or texting while on duty. Most of the members of the said Facebook page are cops or relatives of cops. General Albayalde, for his part, emphasizes there is a proper venue to express complaints or objections to legitimate orders from the PNP leadership.
Hindi kailangan na magsalita ng or backfight. Kailanman hindi tama sa amin yung mag-backfight ka, especially yung binabackfight mo is your commander. Kasamang ugali nun. They can be charged for insubordination. That's one.
Next on Y News. COMELEC sets signature verification in San Juan City's recall petition on April 25. And the Department of Tourism expects an influx of tourists in Central Visayas following Boracay Island's temporary closure. Y News will be right back. I'm Darlene Basingan. Stay tuned for Angelo Castro III. Good evening.
On Y News tonight, the Department of Education ensures that teachers who will serve during the elections will receive honoraria 15 days after. President Rodrigo Duterte's 60-day peace negotiation offered to start only upon agreement by the National Democratic Front. Wishful Louie Ann Kulala shares how she values education as she graduates from college. Good evening. The Department of Education assures that teachers who will serve as members of the Electoral Board will receive their honoraria 15 days after the elections. Meanwhile, the Department of the Interior and Local Government will create Local Development Youth Office in areas with no candidates or elected officials for the Sangguniang Kabataan. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government plans to ask for an extension for the filing of certificates of candidacy in areas without candidates for the SK elections. But if the COMELEC and Bank disapproves the proposal, DILG will ask for LGUs to create Local Youth Development Office or LYDO in areas without elected SK officials.
Ang mga munisipyo natin at lungsod, kailangan mag-appoint na sila ng Local Youth and Development Officer at magpapatuloy ng mga programa na sana ginagawa ng SK.
The Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Act of 2015 provides for the creation of LYDO. Meanwhile, the Department of Education is coordinating with COMELEC for the distribution process of honoraria for teachers who will serve during elections. It is also stated in the Election Service Reform Act that honoraria for teachers be distributed not longer than 15 days after the elections.
On top of this honoraria and allowances, they will be given service credits minimum of 5 days. That's according to the law. And other benefits will be 500,000 as death benefits, 200,000 for medical assistance, 50,000 for legal indemnification package.
DepEd may also ask for additional amount for teachers' honoraria, especially when they are assigned in areas of concern and election hotspots during elections. According to DILG, it is a violation when there is a delay in honoraria distribution. Meanwhile, after the one-day extension of the filing of Certificate of Candidacy, the filed COCs reached 1.14 million for the barangay and SK elections. More than 400,000 of these are for SK elections. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
90% of the police force will be deployed in precincts for the barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan or SK elections. This is to ensure peace and order during the polls. The Philippine National Police has initially said that 5,700 barangays are considered election hotspots. PNP Chief Police Director General Oscar Albayalde says they have laid out security plans for the upcoming elections beforehand.
The 90% of the strength of the PNP will be deployed sa mga different polling centers, 150 to 160,000. And then all the rest will be put on reserve.
The Commission on Elections sets to commence signature verification for the recall petition in San Juan City on April 25. The camp of incumbent Mayor Gia Gomez opposed this move. Grace Casin tells us why.
The Commission on Elections ordered the conduct of verification of signatures attached in the recall petition in San Juan City on April 25. The recall petition was filed by 5 residents of San Juan City claiming that there was an election fraud in 2016 elections between incumbent City Mayor Gia Gomez and contender former Vice Mayor Francis Zamora. The COMELEC only needs 15,000 verified signatures to proceed with the recall elections. But Gomez camp raises the issue to the Supreme Court. They want the SC to declare the April 17 voting of the COMELEC unbanked null and void, saying during the voting only 4 of the 7 commissioners voted during that date.
Short of saying na out of 7, 2 lang yung nakuha ng camp ni Zamora for the petition. Ang TRO na sinubmit ng lawyers ni Mayor Gia is to question if 2/7 is the majority or it should be 4/7.
Talagang pinili po nila na considering na 4 na lang po ang existing commissioners.
Zamora was disappointed after knowing that Gomez raises the issue to the Supreme Court.
Obviously, she is further delaying the recall process.
Based on the COMELEC Resolution 7505 and in the Local Government Code, they cannot conduct recall elections after May 13, 2018. Election lawyer attorney George Erwin Garcia explains that there is an election ban in this kind of petition.
Bawal magpa-recall 1 taon pagkatapos ng isang regular na eleksyon at 1 taon bago ang isang regular na eleksyon. Hindi yan yung darating na barangay eleksyon.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The 60-day peace negotiations mentioned by President Rodrigo Duterte will start upon the agreement of both the government and the National Democratic Front Peace Panel, says Malacañang. Rosa Licos will tell us why.
It is President Rodrigo Duterte himself who initiated to resume peace talks with the communist rebels in the Philippines within 60 days. He also invited Communist Party of the Philippines founder Jose Maria Sison to come back to the Philippines and he will shoulder all the expenses. He also encouraged the New People's Army rebels to grab this opportunity for them to move freely.
Proposal ko kay Sison, hindi ako magpunta doon. Ang pinag-awayan natin ang Pilipinas man. O so, pumunta ka dito.
Sison, on the other hand, thanked the president but said he will only go back to the country if there will be big development in the peace negotiations, such as participation of significant number of NDFP negotiators, consultants, agreement on ceasefire and amnesty for political prisoners, among others. Malacañang says the resumption of peace talks will start if the negotiators of both the government and NDF panel will agree.
Do we have a target, sir?
No target, but the statement from Joma Sison is again new, so this might be a new condition which will have to be discussed. But as far as I know, both have to agree to resume peace talks, and the 60 days period should be reckoned from that date.
Meanwhile, the government cannot assure the safety of Sison in other countries aside from the Philippines. Sison is declared terrorist by the U.S. State Department.
That's not beyond our control, of course, no. But in the Philippines, his liberty will be guaranteed by the president.
Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacañang.
The Department of Tourism expects an influx of tourists in central Visayas following the temporary closure of Boracay Island. Gladys Tuabe will tell us why.
Local and foreign tourists commonly visit central Visayas, particularly the province of Cebu and Bohol, because of its white sand beaches and historical sites. And with the scheduled Boracay closure, the increase of tourist arrivals in the region is expected. According to Hotels, Resorts and Restaurant Association of Cebu, the number of bookings they receive are slowly increasing for the coming days.
We're happy to say Cebu is always ready and is ready for the Boracay bookings. We've received several transferred bookings already for next month.
Accommodating the tourists wouldn't be a problem since there are more than 30,000 lodging facilities in central Visayas. Tour activities are also being upgraded to attract more tourists and promote other beautiful places in central Visayas.
We are getting deeper into how to make them stay longer in Cebu. If before we would only say 2 days, 3 days is good enough for Cebu, we are now trying to push and promote other local activities.
The Department of Tourism also assured the security of the visitors in the region.
But our focus this year is 3 things: security, safety, and cleanliness, like I've repeated a dozen times already. For us, a happy tourist is one who arrives home safe and sound.
DOT-7 listed more than 6 million domestic and foreign arrivals in Central Visayas last year. Gladys Tuabi, UNTV News and Rescue, Cebu.
Recovery's second runner-up, Louie Ann Kulala, is more than happy to make another achievement. Leslie Longwoen will tell us why.
Louie Ann A. Kulala.
Wishful Louie Ann Kulala reaches another milestone. Last Saturday, the Wishcovery's second runner-up graduated from college with a degree in Bachelor of Science in Tourism Management from Bulacan's Baliwag University. Louie Ann managed to complete her course despite being active and joining singing competitions.
Time management po yung #1 key para po mapagsabay ko po pareho yung dalawang passion ko. And with the help na rin po ng mga taong nakapaligid sa akin, na-survive ko po yung pag-aaral and yung pagkanta ko rin po.
Meanwhile, Louie Ann's University, her home for 4 years, has since been proud of her.
So whenever there are occasions in the university wherein we have to have a representative for the college, she is the one whom we first choose because she can really sing very well. And added to that, she has a very good and positive attitude.
Leslie Longwoen, UNTV News and Rescue, Baliwag, Bulacan.
Philippine Commission on Women has recognized Quezon Province anew as Gender and Development Learning Hub. Mai Bermudez will tell us why.
Quezon is one of the provinces with quality and effective programs for women. This is why the Philippine Commission of Women recognized it once again as Gender and Development Learning Hub in the country.
So pinipili po namin ang mga bukod-tanging LGU tulad ng Province of Quezon at saka yung mga ibang syudad. Kung nakikita namin na meron po silang magandang programa.
In 5 years, 330,000 individuals from different provinces visited Quezon to study and imitate its programs for women. One of its programs for women in the province is the Q1K program. Here, the first 1,000 days of the baby from the womb of its mother until its delivery is monitored. Its purpose is to ensure the right nutrition and health of the baby and the mother.
Hindi ko alam na minomonitor tayo ng Philippine Commission on Women. They ask every stakeholders, every LGU, neighboring provinces, neighboring LGUs, kung ano yung mga feedback nila, ano yung mga natututunan nila bisa binibigay naming technical assistance.
Quezon Province has a full-time plantilla position that focuses on the problems and programs for women. To date, Quezon's Gender and Development Office is busy in student cyber safety program that monitors the youth in using the social media. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Over 500 tons of onions imported from China were seized by the Bureau of Customs at the Manila International Container Terminal today. The smuggled onions were found inside 17 40-footer container vans. The shipments were misdeclared as fresh apples, and the shipper even used regular apple boxes. But upon inspection, apple-sized onions were found inside. Customs Chief Isidro La Peña says the consignees will face charges for violations of the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act. They could be also charged for economic sabotage.
Since ito ay marami yung kanilang importations ng mga container van na pinarating nila, this can even go to a case of economic sabotage.
Malacañang shrugs off the concern expressed by the U.S. State Department on the anti-drug war of the Duterte administration. Based on the report, extrajudicial killings have been the chief human rights concern in the country, with a sharp rise on the onset of the anti-drug campaign in 2016 until 2017. But Presidential Spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque says this is totally opposite with a statement of support of U.S. President Donald Trump to the anti-drug war.
Given what we heard from President Trump, let's just say it exists, but we prefer to hold on to the words of President Trump. He is, after all, the president.
Rafa Nadal is still world number one. Meanwhile, Mo Salah adds another award this season. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
In football, Liverpool's Mohamed Salah wins the PFA Player of the Year award. The PFA announced early today. The Egyptian national currently has 31 league goals to his name in his debut season. Meanwhile, Manchester City's Leroy Sané picked up the Young Players Award ahead of teammate Raheem Sterling, among other young players. In sailing, the 8th leg of the Volvo Ocean Race began on Sunday as the teams raced out of the Brazilian city of Itajaí to begin their journey north towards Newport in the United States. The roughly 5,700 nautical mile journey is expected to end around May 11. Dongfeng Ray's team currently leads Team Mapfre as a single point in the overall classifications. And in tennis, Rafa Nadal clinched a record-extending 11th Monte Carlo title with a 6-3, 6-2 victory over Japan's Kei Nishikori in the final on Sunday, April 22. Top seed Nadal, who is also targeting an 11th Roland Garros trophy this year, extended his run on consecutive sets, won on clay to 36 after recording the win in an hour and 33 minutes. The Spaniard's record 31st Masters title also ensured he retained the world #1 ranking ahead of rival Roger Federer. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue.
Up next on Y News. South Korea halts its propaganda broadcast across the border with North Korea. Authorities admits that a near-nude gunman in Tennessee Waffle House attack is still at large. Stay tuned for William Thio. I'm Angelo Castro III. Good evening.
Good evening. More than 200 overseas Filipino workers from Kuwait arrived via Qatar Airways Flight QR934 at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal at 1 this morning. They are the last batch of OFWs who availed of the extended amnesty program of the Kuwaiti government. Cayetano says although the amnesty program in Kuwait has already ended, the government will continue to help the OFWs left in the Gulf state.
Kung dati may nag-overstaying, so may penalties yon. So with the amnesty, clear lahat yon, makakauwi na. Ngayon, we have to deal with the penalties.
More than 10,000 OFWs are estimated to be undocumented, but only about 5,000 availed of the amnesty offered by Kuwait. Meanwhile, the National Telecommunications Commission will release new memorandum circular to prevent load theft. The MC contains stricter measures on how prepaid subscribers can be protected against opportunist value-added tax or VAS. To date, a major telecommunications company has already terminated several VAS providers. The two major telcos have assured their cooperation to government efforts to protect consumers. NTC will release its new policy by June or July this year.
To have at least two-step opting in confirmation, the subscriber must receive the remaining balance every day.
In other news, Grab Philippines country head Brian Koo says around 500 of their drivers have been suspended just last week following complaints on ride booking cancellations. Some drivers were banned and will not be allowed to take booking trips anymore. The company insists that they will not tolerate any behavior that compromises their service to the riding public. Grab also explained that each complaint that they received undergoes a thorough investigation before the management can act on it.
We're going to start establishing stricter measures for drivers. Hindi naman po immediate rin makita results na yun, so I'm asking the public for a little patience.
The Department of Education, or DepEd, assures that teachers who will serve as members of the Electoral Board will immediately receive their honoraria. The DepEd is coordinating with the Commission on Elections for the distribution process of the said honoraria. It is also stated in the Election Service Reform Act that honoraria for teachers be distributed not longer than 15 days after the elections.
On top of this honoraria and allowances, they will be given service credits minimum of 5 days. That's according to the law. And other benefits will be 500,000 as death benefits, 200,000 for medical assistance, 50,000 for legal indemnification package.
According to the Department of the Interior and Local Government, it is a violation when there is a delay in honoraria distribution. President Rodrigo Duterte initiated to resume the peace talks with the communist rebels in the Philippines within 60 days. He also invited Communist Party of the Philippines founder Jose Maria Sison to come back to the Philippines and that he will shoulder all the expenses. Malacañang says the resumption of peace talks will start if the negotiators of both the government and the NDF panel will agree.
Proposal ko kay Sison, hindi ako magpunta doon. Ang pinag-awayan natin ang Pilipinas man. O so, pumunta ka dito.
Sison, on the other hand, thanked the president but said he will only go back to the country if there will be big developments in the peace negotiations. Pag-asa warns of hotter weather this week. Tell us why, Leslie.
Yes, William, Filipinos should brace for even hotter weather this week. This is due to the ridge of high-pressure area affecting northern Luzon. Meanwhile, easterlies continue to prevail over the rest of the country. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers will be experienced in the whole country. Today, the heat index or the temperature people feel is highest in Cabanatuan, Nueva Ecija with 46.3 degrees Celsius. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration or PAG-ASA says temperature in Metro Manila tomorrow will range from 24 to 33 degrees Celsius, 25 to 37 degrees Celsius in Tuguegarao City, 26 to 34 degrees Celsius in Metro Cebu, and 25 to 34 degrees Celsius in Metro Davao. Tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:38 in the morning. That's the weather forecast. Back to you, William.
Thank you, Leslie Longbowen from the UNTV Weather Center. And for the news around the world, Amiel Pascual will be coming our way live from Taiwan. Good evening, Amiel.
Good evening, William. South Korea decides to stop the propaganda broadcast. It blares across its border with North Korea on Monday. Eric Ferrer will tell us why.
South Korea halted the propaganda broadcast
It has been playing across the border at North Korea on Monday to create a peaceful atmosphere ahead of the first inter-Korean summit in a decade later this week. South Korea Defense Minister says the broadcast tour stopped at midnight, but it did not specify whether they would resume after the summit this Friday between South Korean President Moon Jae-in and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. It is the first time in more than 2 years that the South Korean broadcasts, which include a mixture of news, South Korean pop music, and criticism of the North Korean regime, had been stopped.
이번 조치가 남북 간 상호 비방과 선전 활동을 중단하고 평화, 새로운 시작을 만들어 나가는 성과로 이어지기를 기대합니다.
Broadcasts were halted in mid-2015 only to be restarted in January 2016 following North Korea's fourth nuclear test. Pyongyang has conducted 2 more nuclear tests since then. North Korea said on Saturday that it was suspending nuclear and missile tests and scrapping its nuclear test sites, and instead pursuing economic growth and peace. In February, the North lowered the volume of its border propaganda after the Winter Olympics opening ceremony in South Korea's Pyeongchang. Eric Ferrer, UNTV News and Rescue, South Korea.
Meanwhile, South Korean protesters scuffled with police on Monday during a demonstration against a plan to bring some 22 construction vehicles into a U.S. anti-missile system base. This happened ahead of Friday's first inter-Korean summit in more than a decade. About 200 protesters in the southern city of Songju blocked the road to oppose the deployment of construction trucks, equipment, and workers into the site hosting the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense or TAAD system. The Defense Ministry said it is checking the exact number of residents injured from Monday's scuffle, although an official said no one seems to have been severely injured so far. The man who was credited for saving a number of lives during an attack at a Waffle House in Tennessee on Sunday says he does not feel like a hero. Nomer Fenyaranda tells us why.
A nearly nude gunman killed at least 4 people at Waffle House restaurant near Nashville, Tennessee early on Sunday. Metropolitan Nashville Police said the suspected shooter, identified as 29-year-old Travis Ranking, was still at large and murder warrants were being issued to him.
There is a chance that Ryan King at this moment is at large with 2 other weapons. We have learned that Ryan King was arrested by the United States Secret Service for being in a restricted area near the White House in July of 2017. He was subsequently released.
Ranking of Morton, Illinois, was believed to live near the restaurant. Police said the gunman's vehicle was registered to him, and a shirtless man wearing pants believed to be Ranking was spotted in the woods nearby. The gunman, who was naked but for a green jacket, first shot and killed 2 people in the parking lot of the restaurant in Antioch, a section of the East Nashville, shortly before 3:30 a.m. Police said he then entered the restaurant and opened fire, killing 1 patron and wounding another, who later died. Thanks to a 29-year-old man, numerous lives were saved during the attack. James Shaw Jr. said after fleeing cornered, he saw an opportunity to tackle the man shooting into the Antioch Waffle House. Despite being credited for preventing more deaths, he said he does not feel like a hero.
On my Instagram and Facebook, everybody's calling me a hero, but I want people to know that I did that completely out of a selfish act. I was completely doing it just to save myself. It was just, I figured if I was going to die, he was going to have to work for it. So I rushed him, and it actually worked out into my favor. So I actually didn't think about my daughter until I got in the ambulance.
Nomer Peñaranda, UNTV News and Rescue, Virginia, USA.
The government of Nicaragua canceled its plan to overhaul Social Security reform. Efren Castillo tells us why.
Looting erupted in Nicaraguan capital on the Sunday amidst a mounting death toll in the Central American crisis over Social Security reform. The looting comes as an anti-government protests in Nicaragua entered a 5th day on Sunday. The Red Cross said at least 7 people had died and hundreds had been injured in the demonstrations, while a local human rights organization said it had registered 25 deaths. Citizens have come out to defend some stores from looting, saying those behind the violence are seeking to delegitimize the protest movement.
Vinieron turbas que querían saquear aquí el supermercado La Colonia Musneorlecano. Nosotros, la población civil, venimos a apoyar a la gente, los propietarios de este centro de venta para que no los fuera saqueado, porque quieren inculpar a la comunidad universitaria que está protestando justamente, legalmente.
Also on Sunday, Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega announced the cancellation of a planned overhaul of the welfare system that sparked days of the deadly protests as he attempted to end the biggest crisis of his administration.
Nosotros no podemos permitir que aquí se imponga el caos, el crimen, el saqueo. No lo podemos permitir.
Ortega has been on the defensive since demonstrations began on Wednesday against the plan to increase worker contributions to Social Security and to lower pensions. The police crackdown on demonstrators and curbs on some media in the past few days have fueled broader criticism of Ortega, who has tightened his hold on the country's institutions since he took office for a second time 11 years ago. Efren Castillo, UNTV News and Rescue, Central America.
The Duchess of Cambridge has given birth to a baby boy today. Prince William's wife Kate was admitted to hospital on Monday to give birth to their third child and the latest member of Britain's royal family. The royal baby is fifth in line to the British throne. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge drove from their home Kensington Palace in central London to St. Mary's Hospital in West London, where their other 2 children, George and Charlotte, were also born. It can be noted Kate's brother-in-law, Prince Harry, is engaged to U.S. actress Meghan Markle, and their wedding will take place on May 19 in St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. And that's the news making headline around the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you, Amiel Pascual, live from Taiwan. Wishcovery's second runner-up, Louis Ann Kulala, reaches another milestone. Last Saturday, Louis Ann graduated from college with a degree in Bachelor of Science in Tourism Management from Bulacan's Baliwag University. Louis Ann managed to complete her course despite being active in joining singing competitions.
Sobrang halaga po ng education kasi syempre, unang-una ito po yung kumbaga susi natin to reach our goals and to reach our dreams. Ako singer ako, but pinili ko pa rin na makatapos ng pag-aaral kasi darating yung time na hindi naman forever ako ikakanta lang.
Netizens are enjoying posting hugot lines this hot season. Leslie Longboen tells us why.
Vacation photos start flooding our social media news feeds. Meanwhile, some netizens show their creativity by making hugot lines from the hot weather. Like Death Sarmiento, who cannot feel the hot season because of someone's cold treatment. On the other hand, Maneja wants to go to Bora to erase memories. Angeline also talks about Boracay's closure, which they didn't have. Aww. Meanwhile, a resort in Nueva Ecija is earning attention for its reminders with hugot lines. The resort owner reminds all to look after their children and their baby. Also, take care of your belongings because everything not cared for gets lost. On the other hand, don't let a person chase you near the pool, cause sooner he might get tired. These are just some funny reminders, but what we should really keep in mind while enjoying the heat this season is to always stay safe. Leslie Longboan, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Those are the reasons behind the news, April 23, 2018. I am William Thio, and because we need to know, we will always ask why. Thank you for watching Y News.